My name is Richard Mireles, and I want to welcome you to the Prison Post. This is your podcast for conversations surrounding the need to reform prisons from the perspective of formerly incarcerated people, community members, and leaders in the restorative justice movement. The Prison Post will feature an episode every Wednesday with people who are in the fight to restore lives and heal communities. That's what's up, and we're back. Welcome to the Prison Post. My name is Richard Mireles. It's great to be here. I'm the Director of Communications from the CROP organization. I'm here with my co-host, Jason Bryant.
Hello, everyone.
Formerly incarcerated and now famous for being a landscaper, sprinkler installer.
This is true.
Concrete developer. This guy is a jack of all trades.
This is true. Very proud of some of the accomplishments I've been able to do in the little over a year that I've been home.
Yeah, we gotta bring some pictures of your backyard. He's over here developing his backyard, but we'll talk about it another time.
Okay.
Today we have on a very special guest, Miss Claudine Sipili.
Thank you.
And we're so excited to have you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Claudine brought coffee. She's a coffee lover, as you'll find out in the introduction in a minute.
And this is good.
To Claudine.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you for having me.
What's the flavor?
So it's honey lavender latte.
Wow. That's good. It's good.
I haven't had that one before. It tastes like you might have put an extra shot of espresso in there for us.
A little boost.
Yeah, a little boost. Yeah, definitely a coffee lover as well. Claudine is one of our Ready for Life associates. She's actually the fourth associate we've had on the podcast. And, Claudine, I want to give you a formal introduction to some of the work that you're doing today, but afterwards, we want to just talk about you a little bit from what we've known about you over the last couple of months. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. But Claudine Sipili, am I saying it right?
Yes.
Okay, is a program director at CityTeam Ministries, where she oversees the San Jose and Oakland CityTeam work location. She develops and implements programs to help optimize employability and provide opportunities for clients to earn a livable wage and find stable housing. In addition to her management role, Claudine works directly with clients individually to empower them, foster their career interests, and launch them into career paths that were once out of reach at one time. She also serves on the Santa Clara County Continuum of Care Governance Board, the Destination Home Board of Directors, and the Santa Clara County Lived Experience Advisory Board. Thank you for taking some of your time out of your busy schedule to be with us. She was born and raised in American Samoa, and before her nonprofit career, she served in the United States Navy and the Army National Guard. Claudine enjoys road trips to explore quaint towns and finding the coolest, most unique, independently owned coffee shops and coffee roasters. Her number one hobby is learning about and drinking coffee, and she was gracious enough to and generous enough to bring us a nice cup of honey. What was it?
Lavender
latte with an extra shot of espresso.
I didn't know you were supposed to drink lavender, but it tastes good.
Yeah, I got some of those lavender. What are they called? The
scents, right? That's what I think of. I think of lavender like the potpourri.
Yeah,
like
definitely. Having experienced addiction, incarceration, homelessness firsthand, she's a passion. This is one of the most passionate people you'll ever experience. And we'll see that today on the show. And she has a passion for being an active part of the solution and for ending homelessness in the Silicon Valley. Claudine likes to say, I'm an ordinary human serving an extraordinary God. And it is from this perspective that I carry out my daily duties on the CityTeam Ministries. Claudine, truly, it is an honor to have you here with us, me and Jason here. Thank you for driving here from the Bay Area. You're one of the most energetic, passionate, kind, generous. I mean, just look at that smile. I mean, my goodness, one of the best people. I've been out of prison now for going on 2.5 years. And you're one of the best people that I have met to date. And I'm not just saying that, to be nice because you're on our show. I'm serious. I mean, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. I'm so glad that you're here with us today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Rich is saying she's driving from the Bay. So Claudine, you're coming from South Bay.
Yes, from South San Jose.
South San Jose. Yeah. So that's quite a bit of a drive. How's the traffic?
It's not bad at all. Okay. So I'm not looking forward to the going back. The going back is going to be a little bit difficult. But
it's going to be tough.
Not bad at all.
So I gave you a little bit of a tee up. I want to give just a little bit of a ribbing about Claudine. So Claudine, so everyone knows, she likes to drive a little bit reckless. You have a Jeep and a muscle car.
Yes, I do.
And they're both manual.
Yes, they're both manual. Yes, they are.
Why do you like manual?
So this is one of the reasons I am on the Crop Ready for Life program. I have some control issues. So one of the things that I've verbalized before in class is I'm such a control freak that I don't want the motor to figure out when to switch gears, right? I want me to figure out when to switch gears. And that's why I drive manual transmission.
Well, I almost brought Ched's Jeep out here to we could over here in Sacramento, I don't know if it's true over there, but when a Jeep drives by a Jeep, they wave.
Yes, sir. It's called it's the Jeep wave. It's a Jeep thing.
Okay. I tried it in my Nissan and nobody waved. It just looked at me weird. Like, what are you doing?
When I first heard about it, I did try it. I got an Explorer and I tried it there. And nobody waved.
Yeah, they think you're a cop. That all black Explorer. I'll be slowing down when Casey pulls up. Oh man. But Claudine, tell us a little bit about, we'll start off light. Tell us a little bit about your love for coffee. What's going on there?
Yeah, I never ever drank coffee before the military. You know, I started drinking coffee, like really, really bad coffee in the Navy. Right. So I was in boot camp. And then when I went to my first duty station in Italy in the Mediterranean, one of the things that I figured out is every 5 days you stand duty, and standing duty means you could be up for 24 hours a day. Wow. So you really had to figure out how to stay awake. Right. So military has this, oh my God, I don't know where they get this coffee from. It's absolutely horrible.
Probably Exxon. It's like motor oil or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like turpentine or something. So I started drinking coffee then, and it was just all black. Like everybody, it takes too long to put other stuff into the coffee, right? So that's where I picked up coffee from, and then I eventually started exploring into coffee that tastes good. Right. You know, so in Italy, amazing coffee in Italy, you know, espresso, you can order coffee at the bar. When you get it in a little shot glass, and it's pretty much just espresso, right? You take it like a shot and you're good for the day. Right. Mm-hmm. So now though, with coffee, I mean, it's developed into a kind of like a mechanism of worship for me. You know, I drink coffee. You know how you're out in nature and you're next to the ocean and the waves, like this thing that is so powerful, and you can't help but just look up and go, wow, God, you're amazing in this, in this creation. Right. That's the way I look at coffee. Yeah. You know, some people might call it an addiction, might be for you, but not for me. You know, this is really, I drink a good cup of coffee and I thank the Lord. You know, I feel like this is God's gift to me.
Wow, that's a beautiful perspective.
Yeah, it's God's love language to me, and then in turn, I can use coffee as a love language to other people. Yeah, and that's the reason why I can't stand tea drinkers. You know, I mean, when I offer somebody coffee and they say, "I'm sorry, I don't drink coffee. I only drink tea." I mean, my first response is that look I get on my face. Yeah, that's resembles something of disgust. Sure. And then the next thing that comes out of my mouth is tea is for sissies.
Oh my God. So it's probably a good thing that you were deployed to Italy and not Great Britain.
Yes, you're right. So, but you know what though? Then I go wherever I go, I buy tea and bring it back to the sissies, and it's just fine.
Way to kick it off, Claudine.
That's great.
I'm a coffee lover as well. Starbucks, nitro cold brew, cinnamon oat milk foam.
Oh yes.
But I'll tell you what. I mean, it's brewed for I think 24 hours. It's their strongest stuff. It tastes good. You can only get a grande. You can't get a venti for some strange reason because of the molecules that get into your system. But I'll tell you what, though, you know, it can get a little bit expensive. So, you know, you buy some good stuff. Costco's got some decent stuff that you can grind up. But Claudine, American Samoa.
Yes. So the appropriate way to say it is America. So America Samoa and Samoa, and Americans, obviously, the English word for America is American. So I was born and raised there. I left right after high school to join the military. But that's home for me, America Samoa. So it's about, if you haven't heard of it before, it's in the South Pacific. It's actually the southernmost and westernmost U.S. protectorate. Right. Any country that belongs to the United States, it's southernmost and westernmost. And we are about 14 degrees south of the equator. Wow. And then about 170 degrees east of the international date line.
Now, does that mean that it's summer all year round?
Yeah, you know what? When you said that, just then, it gives you like this good feeling, like, ooh, I want to go there. Holy crap, is it hot? Like all the time, right? So it's about, I don't think it ever gets above maybe 86 degrees.
Okay.
Right. But it's so humid, it's like 86 at 92% humidity every day.
Sure.
Holy moly. I grew up there, and then I came to the United States to dry climate, and then going back, they let the door down to the plane, and the humidity just rushes in and slaps you in the face. I mean, that's how heavy it is.
Sure.
Right. So, but that's home for me.
Nice. Claudine, so, in the introduction, we hear about, director at CityTeam. We hear about, on 3 different boards in the Bay Area and Santa Clara, your work with the homeless. And then we hear about joining the Navy, American National Guard, Army National Guard. And, some people know that our Ready for Life program is for justice involved people. So it's like, how does Claudine over here with that big smile end up becoming justice involved?
Where does that fit in, huh?
Right.
And you know what? Thank you for phrasing it that way or prefacing it that way. One of the things in my life now, I encounter a lot of people, and I bring up that always comes up in the conversation, right? Because people ask me, so how did you come into this work? And the truth is, I came by it because of my being justice involved. And so I grew up in a good family, amazing culture, very suppressive. I think at times when I was growing up, I saw it as suppressive and oppressive, and I couldn't wait to get the hell out of there, kind of a thing, So one of those things where, looking back, I really felt like as a teenager that I was under my parents' thumb, and the culture's thumb, and you couldn't do anything and get away with it. I mean, there's so many people that gossip, in the villages, So when I left the island to join the military right after high school, I got a taste of how amazing America is, this vast land of blessings, and everything is huge and everything is fast, So when I started living on my own, when I was in the military, I picked up on drinking, right? I never drank a day in my life before on the island, and of all places, I end up in Italy where there's no drinking age. Right. So if you're tall enough to reach the bar, you're tall enough to drink, and you order whatever you want, and even then you don't even have to go into a bar. You just walk the piazza, and you got wine, house wine, all kinds of wines, By the time you reach the other end of the piazza, you're like 3 sheets to the wind, if you don't have any friends, you'd be holding on to the sides of the building so you don't fall over. So that's where really I feel like I started with my downward spiral. I didn't know it at the time, but I thought it was fun. I was 17 years old when I got into the Navy. So I was living the life, of a really an American kid, but this person, I was so sheltered, from an island and a culture that was very, like I said, oppressive, that when I was on my own, I just sort of went crazy.
Sure.
And I was mimicking and imitating Americans and sailors at that. And I did it very well. I mimicked people very well. Right. And so that's where it started. My drinking got out of control. I even remember attending my very first AA meeting in Italy on Sardinia. So Sardinia is so Sardinia is the island just above the one that the boot kicks, right? In Sicily. The Mediterranean. Just above Sicily. And then off on another island, La Maddalena, is the island that I was on. Right. And then the ship that I was assigned to is moored to another smaller island called Santo Stefano. So it was, everything, the partying, the men, for a young lady sheltered from a tiny island. Holy crap, are there a lot of men in the Navy, Holy moly. So all of that, when I got out of the Navy, moved to the United States, figured out how hard life was in the United States, right? And then eventually I got back into the Army National Guard because I felt like I left something that was so huge in my life, that feeling of belonging was gone, after I separated from the Navy. So got back into the Army National Guard, and Army soldiers like to drink too and party, you know, and do other stuff, you know.
Sure.
And so I just continued on with it. You know, you just go along with whatever everybody else is doing. Was too young to even figure out what the right thing was to do. Right. So the drinking stopped being fun. Right. Stopped drinking in crowds at the bar, and then it was drinking at home. Life happened a little bit even more for me. You know, I ended up getting divorced and becoming a single mom, and then eventually losing my kids, you know, not to the state or anything, but to their dad. And I started going back to the bar scene, you know, experiencing loneliness, drinking at home by yourself. It's not very fun at all. So trying to seek that like after that thrill again, right, of being around other people, and got into some bad relationships kind of a thing, and ended up getting arrested with my very first arrest. Never had a speeding ticket or an infraction before then. My very first encounter with the police was an arrest for assault. I was drunk at the time when it happened. I was in a relationship that never should have happened in the first place. Met a guy at a bar, you know, very unhealthy relationship, and that's how I started my arrest career, right? And back at that time, I think I had just separated from the Army National Guard when that happened.
And Jason and I were both 20 when we went in, did all of our 20s, did all of our 30s. Sounds like you're a late bloomer there.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it was about 23 was when 23, 24 was my first arrest. And I remember I was threatened by the judge that I would do 1 day in jail. And I remember freaking out like, oh my God, 1 day in jail. I can't do that, you know? And so then in the back of my mind, I was going, I'm going to get my life straight now. You know, back then at 23, I got out, and I wasn't done having fun yet. You know? I wasn't done with the men that were appealing and attractive to me, you know, the bar type. And so I just like that was the beginning of it, of getting arrested and entering the criminal justice system. And I feel like I've been there ever since, you know, but it didn't stop at just, that was a misdemeanor, right? It didn't stop there. Like I figured out like it was almost like a thrill for me to be on the wrong side of the law. Like it was a thrill, and I'm a thrill seeker. I love adrenaline, that feeling of, you know, it made me feel, I don't know, feel reckless, and the lawlessness of it too was very appealing to me, you know? So I graduated from misdemeanors at another battery charge, from misdemeanors to felonies. And it didn't end with one felony. It was 2 felonies. It was felonies. And I remember my very first felony, I appeared in front of a district judge, and they looked at all my stuff. You know, they look at your life and go, where the hell did this person go wrong? Yeah. Sure. So my first felony, it was grand theft. My first felony, the judge was so merciful to me. I felt like, you know, he gave me a withhold judgment, and all I had to do was complete a 90-day program, you know, and because he already knew about my violence and the drinking, he ordered me to 90-90, you know, doing AA meetings, and I completed it just to complete it, but I didn't learn anything from it, you know, and I just continued at it. I didn't stop at one felony. I got two more felonies, you know, and felony probation, and I just reckless, very, very reckless.
I definitely get the whole, like, how did this happen type thing. For me, I committed my crime at 20 years old, but prior to that, I had no record whatsoever, like no juvenile record, no justice involvement. But it wasn't because I wasn't engaged in criminality. It's because I wasn't getting caught for it, right? And then, you know, for me, when I was arrested, I had that aha moment. Like I came to the realization of the harm that I not only caused my victims, but my family. And I started making different choices once I was incarcerated. When was your aha moment?
Oh my goodness. I wish I could say it was closer to 2003, 2000, you know, or shortly after my first arrest, but it wasn't. The aha moment didn't, didn't come until I was serving my 5-year prison sentence recently. So I got released from that in 2015. And by that time, I'd have been in and out of jail so many times, been violated so many times, just bad attitude, even in court, very disrespectful to judges, and just officers of the court. So when I was in prison, I actually remember when I got my sentence. I mean, in my mind, I was going, okay, wait a minute. The judge made a mistake, and in my mind, obviously I couldn't afford an attorney. So I had a public pretender. I meant defender. So just crying out to somebody, and I remember trying to just hold on to something, to have someone come tell me that, you know what, this is what really happened. The judge really didn't say 5 years, while the public defender came in and verified exactly what I thought I heard. And that was a 5-year sentence. And they closed the door and waiting for the court officer to come escort me out in my shackles. And
5 years, 85% or 100%?
100%. And I remember then, by that time, I mean, I'd had a relationship with the Lord, I had a relationship with God at that time. And I remember just falling down on my knees. And the first words that came out of my mouth were, I praise you, oh God. And in my mind, it didn't make any sense to me that I would be praising him for a 5-year sentence, but I praised him because he saw my heart, and I knew that he was going to have me from that moment on. Right. And that's not to say I knew it was going to be easy. I was scared, it was a lot of fear involved there, but I knew I wasn't going to be alone from that moment on.
5 years is a long time.
Yeah. I mean, to a person that's never done more than 2 or 3, in incarceration, that's where I was. That was the reality of my situation. So when I was in prison, oh my goodness, I remember one of the things for me was I reached out to the people at my church. I at the beginning of getting catching that last charge that got me in for 5 years. I remember reaching out to the church that I had been attending. I literally started making an honest effort at church and small group, Bible study, and I met these people that didn't know me at all. Like they were strangers to me and I was a stranger to them. And they just loved me, like for the first Bible study I went to. And so these were the people I reached out to, and they made sure before I was transported out of the county jail where I was that I had my Bible with me. They brought me my Bible that was gifted to me when I graduated from Boise State in 2002. Never even spent any time in the thing, right? They brought me my Bible. I got it. So I left on the bus with it to go to prison. And it was me digging into my Bible. There was nothing else to do. That digging into my Bible is the beginning of that aha moment. It was coming. I didn't know that there was even one coming. But in the course of going through, it's hard popping from county jail to county jail on the way to prison. For me, the times that I spent in incarceration, especially in solitary confinement, and got in trouble a lot. I'm a big girl, I'm tall, I'm kind of stocky, I walk into a cell block and they just size me up and I don't know, pick a fight with me. And I'm not just going to sit there and take it,
What did that mean to you though, when you said that I praise you, oh God, after getting that 5-year sentence? What did that mean to you in that moment? I know that you mentioned to me Romans 8:28 before, and it says that all things work together to the good to those who. All things work together for the good to those who love God and are called according to his purposes. Did you feel like this was one of those moments that it's like, this must be working together for the good for my future, or here I go, this is it. I guess I needed this, or what was it? Yeah,
to tell you the truth, I wasn't even aware of Romans 8:28 at that time. The overwhelming sense that I had was God has me right here, and he's going to have me for the next 5 years, and I knew in the back of my mind that he's got something good for me, that something good has to come out of this, and it will only come by him. Right. And so I want to fast forward to answer Jason's question, fast forward all the way to that aha moment. I was sitting in solitary confinement, and on Christmas Day, right? And Christmas Day, like I was missing out, like no kids, no family. In solitary confinement, you got an hour to do your thing, shit, shower, shave, you get your meal. And it's the same thing on Christmas morning. And I remember my hour was 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. The guard brought me out, there's a table, TV, shower, and I remember sitting at the table, looking up at the TV, and I was just going, wow, Christmas Day is today. And I'm grateful. And I don't know why I'm grateful, right? I don't have my family. I don't have any presents. I don't have any of that. And then I figured it out. I'm grateful because I finally get to spend Christmas Day with the person whose birthday I'm celebrating on Christmas Day. It was so simple. It was just me and my Lord. And I was completely okay with that, and it just made me think back to the stress I went through of making sure all my kids have presents and running around running around the busyness of life. And I was so grateful in the fact that I could finally understand the reason for the season for me,
Sure.
At that time, and coming to the realization of, you know what, I want to get out of this place. I don't ever want to come back. I don't regret that I'm going through this right now because it's going to change the rest of my life. But I don't ever want to come back, and I want to go out there and have more Christmas days like this, where it's just me, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and me focusing on what He has done for me, right? And the future that He holds for me. Now, that future, I didn't have any idea what that future is going to look like.
Right. You just knew it was going to be different than your past.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Sure.
Thank you.
So let me ask this. I mean, it's amazing the awakening that you had come to terms with you and God. What about the system, though? Like, what about the system, in your opinion, the prison system, needs to change to help people come to those realizations about the value that's had in living a responsible life?
Yeah, I don't, when you say the word system, I mean, obviously the first thing that comes to my mind is I want to criticize it. I want to point out all the things that are wrong with it, and the system that we have is what we have. It's what it is, right? But here's the thing. I always felt like, since I've become justice involved from that very first arrest of that misdemeanor, one of the things that when I first got into it, is so focused on punishing, right? Always even inside a county jail versus your time in prison, it's all focused on punishing you, right? There was really, I feel like there was really nothing outside, like externally outside of me, that was targeting developing me, right? And making me into a more responsible citizen of society, right?
Sure.
Or whatever that looks like, right?
Or the leader that you are today in your community.
Right. So nothing was aimed at that. If there was anything remotely close to that, it's like classes that you have to take, and me anticipating going in front of the board, right, to hopefully get a parole date, right? I knew I had to take those classes, right? And not because I was looking forward to learning what they were going to teach me, but really I want to check off the check boxes, so the board can know that I wasn't just sitting around twiddling my thumbs, So those classes, though, were always focused, and not exactly on building you up, but really identifying what is wrong with you, like what is wrong with me. So if you're looking at it like looking at my cup is almost at the half mark. So always looking at it as me as a half empty person, like not looking at this is a half full person here, human here, and we are going to pour into her what we can to make her cup so full so that when she leaves here, she never comes back. Right.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So it's more focusing on the half empty cup that is this human. Right. And let's get the parole board to say yes, to get her out of here so we can make more room for more people that we know are going to be coming into the system. Right. So the focus on the negative things, the things that are wrong with us, I felt like it is definitely one of the things that ought to be changed.
Sure.
Definitely.
And developing and really developing people into a sense of responsibility, helping them see what their part would be in society. Right. And then getting them out here, because like doing that is going to make it so that they come out here and do like the things that you guys do. Right. Empowering other humans and getting it to where you prevent me and the rest of the crop associates and more humans, whoever's listening to these podcasts, from ever going back in.
Exactly. To piggyback off the half cup analogy, not only that you experience, the cup half full, but almost like we want to make sure you remember that your cup is half full. Like you're not, you don't fully have that potential to be who you think you could be. Let us, this punishment model will eventually change you, and it doesn't. It only hurts you. And I think about even the counselors in there, like people say, well, did you talk to your counselor? And we know that when those on the inside, you see your counselor
they don't do much counseling
once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it is honest to say that there's no counseling. There's just, let me know if I got 5 minutes for you once a year to see if you are going to stay here at this prison. And if you want to get in on a list. I mean, I was on the Microsoft Office Services list for 7 years before I never got into the class. So I don't know how people got in that class. Maybe I didn't.
You had to know somebody.
Yeah, to know somebody or something.
But here's one thing I want to interject there. Here's the thing about it though, about our system, right? Like I said, it's not a perfect system, but it's our system.
Sure.
It's the system that we have in America. And here's the thing, it wasn't the system's fault that we ended up in there. It really wasn't, right? So here's the thing about it is, and this is what I've learned from you guys, especially from you, Jason, in the Crop Ready for Life program is the system. If we have a certain perspective or perception of the system that is negative, right? It's always going to force us, kind of trick us into always looking through the window instead of looking at the mirror, and that was my thing for the 5 years was, how do I improve me?
Exactly.
Okay, so the system is doing that. I'm not going to care about the system. I'm going to move through, do my thing so I can get through the system. But if the system is not going to improve me, what am I going to do to improve me? Right. And that's where that was survival mode for me in there, and that had a lot to do with being in God's word for me, and keeping in touch with my church people and writing letters to my kids. Like I probably wrote letters to them every single day, and just communicate my love to them and really just say, I'm a screw up. I'm your mom. And I know I'm a screw up, but I'm doing my best in here. So when I get out there, I can actually be a mom to you. I can actually give you good advice, that kind of a thing.
And you talked about the greatness of America, when you first came here, and it's the people who have chosen for the system to be this way, and it will be the people and some of the work that we're doing that's changing it.
Right. And I just want to say, I really appreciate what Claudine is sharing as far as the perspective. I mean, that's what our work is about.
Yes, definitely.
And there is overlap because there's a distinction between personal responsibility and systemic responsibility. It's just like Rich said, like we are the system.
Yeah.
And it has to start with each one of us looking in the mirror and seeing what are we contributing to the way things are. Like, what's my contribution? It starts with my behavior, with what I'm committed to. And then it flows over into how I'm participating in my community.
Mm-hmm.
Am I having conversations like this that are sparking new thoughts about different ways that we should be thinking about justice involved people and how we should be reintegrating them back into our communities and welcoming them home with the tools they need to succeed?
Yeah. And here's the other thing too, that I felt like the system lacked in when I was in for 5 years. I mean, I had victims, so the crimes that I committed, I had victims, and having moved through all of those 5 years, there was nothing at all to help me settle or help me settle in my mind how I was going to change my life as far as my victims were concerned. Yeah, there's restitution, right? It's built into the court system to have restitution be paid back. But how is that going to help me?
Sure.
Paying money is just a mechanism. Like it's just
built-in restorative justice.
Exactly.
No built-in
nothing that would restore.
Allowing me to make amends.
Yes, nothing that would help me even know what restoration would look like to the victims, right?
Sure.
So that's probably the part that hurts the most, is knowing that I've victimized people, in my life of crime, and now I think. I don't think that in having been victimized myself too and knowing what that feels like, I don't think I could ever undo that. I never can, but the thing is, like, looking back, I can look at it and go, okay, how do I live out this life of restoration for me, for other people, maybe not my victims, but for others. Because then in me restoring other people's lives that I encounter, it's going to sort of make that amends, that like the living amends,
Yeah.
right, to my victims. So
Claudine, I see you get emotional, and we think back to the hurt and the harm that we cause, and the empathy that you have today, the empathy that God has given you, and how did that fuel what you're doing today? It seems like some time ago, and now you're doing some amazing work today. I want to talk about that a little bit, and then also piggyback on how you heard about Crop Organization, the Ready for Life program, what are you doing today?
Yeah. So right now, I, as you said earlier in my bio, I work for a nonprofit organization called CityTeam Ministries. Man, just like this is God's gift to me. This coffee, CityTeam has been a God's providence for me, right? He put CityTeam in my life to provide for me, and I didn't even know it back then. They hired me in 2016, so I celebrate 5 years next month in August. And one of the things, thank you. One of the things at CityTeam that is most rewarding is I get to work with the same populations that have walked through the same shoes I walked through, to where I'm at today. I have lived experience of homelessness. I have lived experience of incarceration and also of addiction. My drug of choice being alcohol, and those are the people that I serve today. And I have a real passion for. I have a real passion for being the firm thing that they can grab onto that gets them out of the quicksand that they're in, right? Because in all three of those things, my experience has been, you feel like you're in this quicksand that is just moving under you, and you cannot get out of it. Some people drive by people that are in tents. Like on my way here to the studio, I passed several tents on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And a lot of people drive by and just go, why don't they just go get a job? Or why don't they just go to get housing? You know what? When you're in that rut, or when you're in that quicksand, it's really hard to try to get out. You can't get yourself out. And I mean, why don't you just go get a job? Well, if you smell bad, you haven't brushed your teeth in like 7 weeks, you don't have your clothes are smelly. You think somebody's just going to walk into a place and apply for a job? No, they're going to get turned out. They're going to get told, well, go find a computer and go to this website and apply. Where are they going to get that at?
Right.
So one of the things for me is this passion. I really feel like the Lord has just given me a heart for the people in these populations that I serve today, and it's through that heart that motivates me day in and day out. I want to see these people do better, and I'm the living example of it. I literally can stand there, and when they tell me I can't do that, I have this and this and this and this, and I can go, I have all of those things too, and I've done it. Exactly. If I'm able to do it, you can do it, and I'm going to be right here next to you helping you, right? I really like to take the approach of being a guide on the side, versus the person that, like, you're teaching somebody how to do mountain climbing and they're standing at the top of the mountain going, yeah, put your foot right down there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A guide on the side.
Yeah. And they're all the way standing up on top of the mountain. We go, right. No, not right there. The other one, So I right now, my day-to-day job, I mean, that's exactly what I do. I'm right next to them, and sometimes I like to climb the mountain first.
Sure.
Right. So I know exactly where they're going to put their hand and where they're going to put their foot. And then when I do it together with them, they know they're going to be successful, and I know they're going to be successful. And that's a lot of the things that I do right now. I had some clients that wanted to be EMTs, and they said, well, I have this and this and this and this. I can't be an EMT. I didn't know the answer to it. So I went and I became an EMT. That's right. I went through the entire course, passed the National Registry EMT test, and, all of that basic life support. And my background was not an issue. I came back to them and said, your background is not an issue. Oh. You are the issue. Sure. If you have it in your mind to do this, you can do it. And I'm going to be right here to help you.
You've already,
that's awesome.
You've already almost answered the question that I want to ask, but something we talk about a lot is proximate leadership. Mm-hmm. Like the people who are closest to the pain points are typically the ones who have the best solutions to them.
Yeah.
And I'm curious for you, as someone who has a background that's, just as involved, how does your proximity to it serve you as you serve other people in the community?
Yeah, I think that is, I think proximity is critical, right? And almost a requirement. And here's why I think that. I've been through some treatment programs ordered by the court, by the judge, right? And some of those treatment programs I sat in were facilitated with people that had no idea what it meant to be addicted to alcohol, right? To have alcohol as your problem. And then yet they're sitting there trying to teach me about alcohol, about not drinking alcohol anymore, or teaching me about relapse prevention. And I just felt like I didn't receive it very well, just because I felt like they have no idea. Yeah, okay, so they learned it in a classroom, right? Or in a lab or whatever the hell it was, right? But they haven't walked in my shoes. They don't know what it felt like when people look at me and I see disgust in their eyes, right? They don't know, they don't understand what it means to lose your dignity because of the way others treat me. Do you see what I mean? And they don't understand what it means to come out of incarceration and have to share that you have a felony, and then have the atmosphere of the room change completely. Just because of the fact that you have a criminal conviction. They have no idea, right? So to have proximity, or to have walked in those shoes and then be in a position to help the masses, you turn around and holy crap, there's a lot of people I need to help. Those people that are in the shoes that you walked. I mean, I feel like there's like this power. The power is in the people that have lived out those experiences, right? And even more so when we use that power to then make an impact for good in the lives of those people.
That's right. Man, Claudine, you're a servant leader. I mean, obviously, I mean, what is it like to be engaged as a felon, and then versus, look, I'm not a felon anymore. Like my parole agent says, oh, you're a lifer. You know, I brought that up before. No, I'm not a lifer. I'm not doing life anymore. Yeah. I had a life sentence at one time. That's not who I am. But, you know, that's one of the things we do on this show, is busting up those paradigms that leave people with those perspectives like, oh, no, I'm not a lifer anymore. I'm not a felon anymore. I'm the director of CityTeam. I'm on 3 boards in Santa Clara. Here's the work that I do today. Engage me on that. That's who I am. That's what I'm doing. This servant leadership, coming alongside others. That's who I am today. That's the past. The past is past. Why are you still defining me by my past? The past shouldn't define us. You know, in fact, we may be able to use those stories to add value to the world as proximate leaders. But, you know, engage me with who I am today, not where I've been. Yeah. And Claudine, so at some point you hear about Crop Organization and Ready for Life. And what was that story?
Yeah. So remember what we were just talking about, that guide on the side thing?
Guide on the side. I like that.
So I attended a webinar, I think it was back in March, and the webinar, it was focused in on celebrating the new Second Chance month of April, declared every year, April Second Chance Month. So I think it was the seminar was, or the webinar was meant to preface that, right? And the recommendation came down from one of our board members. So I signed up for it. I ended up having to do another meeting, so I couldn't attend it. But they sent out a one-sheeter that had all the attendance on there, right? People that and then also organizations that work directly with people that need second chances, right? As far as employment, getting into employment. And at the very bottom of that list was Crop, right? I looked at it like I recognized.
We'll take it.
Yeah. We're working our way up though.
Yeah. So at the very bottom, the very bottom of the list was Crop. And I was like, I've never seen this thing before. Croporg.org. What the hell kind of name is that? You know, I mean, I was thinking that it was, I'm trying to turn this thing off. It doesn't want to turn off. So I remember looking at it and go, I got to check this out. Is this about like agriculture? You know? So I checked into it and I saw that CROP was an acronym and what it stood for, creating restorative opportunities and programs, you know? And then I was like, what the heck is this? You know, I just kept scrolling down and I saw 5 pictures of some guys that thought they looked important.
We think that about ourselves sometimes.
So I read each of your bios, and then there was something that popped up about applications due, and I was like, what is this about? April 2nd, I think, was the date that was featured. So I looked into it, and it said Ready for Life on there, and immediately I thought, okay, I have a couple guys I need to refer into this, right? But then I didn't have time. Like this was like the very end of March when I happened upon it. Applications were due. And I was like, I can't, there's not enough time for me to vet somebody to put through it. And number 2, I didn't know what this was about, right? I saw 6 months and blah, blah, blah. So I figured, well, I'll just put in an application. So I filled out an application. And when I filled out the application, I pretended that I had 100% intention to get in and go through it, just like I did the EMT thing and everything else.
Mhm.
I'm going to climb the mountain first myself. And so then when I had a couple clients to put through it, we're going to climb that mountain together, right? So I put my application in, and lo and behold, I got a response, and the response said
Who
that
responded to you?
I think it was Ken Oliver. So
I remember getting your application.
Oh, okay.
And what did we get? About 80, 90 applications?
There was a few.
And I remember Ted, and we printed them out for everybody was supposed to read them.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we could only take 15 to the program.
Oh, okay.
And we started off we whittled it down to what, 25?
25.
But I remember Ted reading yours.
Oh, Ted.
You remember that, Jay?
Yes. And he made a prediction. He said, this is going to be an all-star right here.
That's too funny. So yeah, I put in the application, and Ken Oliver said he'd like to schedule an interview with me, and I scheduled an interview, and then something more important came up, and then I was like, oh, well, I can't make it. They probably don't need me anyway, and so then like 3 days later, I get another email from Ken, and he was like, oh, sorry, we missed you. We really need to get So I ended up doing a phone interview with him on the phone, and then I was on the road. I'm heading back from Southern California, so we did a quick Zoom interview, and then we ended up in that 3-day seminar, 3-day retreat, and oh my goodness, I've been here ever since.
Why'd you stick it out with us?
Wow.
What are some of those highlights? Or I've seen you get emotional on the call. We were all three of us were emotional last night.
Yeah.
Heavy night. But I've seen you get emotional a few times, and there's been some principles that are really some content that we share in this a Ready for Life manual, that workforce development program that Jason put together so beautifully for all of our participants, our associates. And that's really what our associates are. They're the ones who participate in our program. But there's been, those are just words on a page, but something about them comes to life when we share our contextual stories from our own lives, and then they tugged on your heartstrings, and obviously you've been sticking it out in spite of some obstacles. So
yeah. So one of the things that I picked up on with Crop Ready for Life is how they have that way of like touching on the inside stuff, that my inside stuff. And this is how I'm always, for the rest of my life, is how I'm going to refer to Crop. They are the people that helped me touch on and then work through my inside stuff, and when I say inside stuff, it's like the stuff that you, like if somebody shines a flashlight in your insides right here in your heart. And my inside stuff is what I lock up in a room in there, or if there's no room, I stick them in the cracks and crevices that nobody would want to even go into, right? And I only let a specific number of people in there. And right now, I'll tell you, I have not let anybody even touch any of those things. Not a spiritual mentor, not an AA sponsor, nobody, right? Except for my Lord, because he can already see it. Mm-hmm. And so some of those things, it's like for the very first time, I've been able to touch on those things and bring it out. And the reason why I feel like I've given permission to you, Jason, as the facilitator of these classes every night, and to you too, Richard, when you're sitting in the class with us, is I feel like the reason I've given permission, allowed you in, is because of how safe I feel in the space that we're in. Like these people, I feel no judgment from them. It's like they have their own same stuff, if not worse inside stuff than I have, and bringing these things out and then utilizing the format that you used to teach to draw these things out. It's not like a therapy session where you sit down and you spew out your stuff and then they're like, oh, well, let's schedule your next appointment. And you feel like you got to pick up all your stuff and like stuff them back in here and then walk out. And it's so raw, like it's exposed and you're not doing anything about it. Right. And you just walk out of the office going, what the heck do I do now? That is not at all the feeling I get through in Crop, especially One of them, I know you're going to ask me about it. I'm just going to skip the question and get right to the answer. One of the things that at the top of my list for the benefits, how a crop ready for life has benefited me, is the responsible versus victim response. This victim mentality. I never ever considered myself a victim, and I find that offensive if somebody were to call me a victim. Matter of fact, I live out my life to prevent being a victim. Why do you think I could drive a Jeep? I can hit anything with that Jeep. You see what I mean? And I drive a fast car because you got to catch up to me first before you can do anything to me. It's like I've been on this like overprotective defensive mechanism, on steroids mode for a long time, and looking at how you do the exercise of really helping me see that, wait a minute, you have ownership. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if someone did something to you of age. It doesn't matter if something did something to you to victimize you. You still had ownership in that, and the way that you describe it and, and these steps. And I feel like, Jason, I'm starting to pick up your facilitation style, but I feel like
my job might be in trouble.
Yeah, job security. Yeah, I might be taking over your job. So one of the things for me is like I'm very forceful, right? I just want to get to the point. Let's just get to the destination. Let's just get to the destination. And like with this guy, with Jason, he's just like, ask this question that probes the next question, and then the next question. Before I know it, I'm like, holy crap, he tricked me, Like you get this feeling of this guy tricked the truth out of me, the answer he's been looking for all along out of me.
But it wasn't a trick.
But it wasn't a trick.
And it was you the whole time. It was you the whole time.
But I would not have known that there are other layers. So like the probing questions that you ask kind of penetrate this layer and penetrate this layer. And then I'm like, oh, I'm in a different layer, but you don't know it yet until you get to the part, what you were aiming all along to pull out, then it's there.
Yeah. Sometimes we need a little help peeling the onion back.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I just want to say, I've told you this before. I've told the classes before. I appreciate how much you appreciate me, but the credit is all yours, because one of our longtime maxims has been that maximum value equals full participation. And you have shown up as fully participating, not only in our program, but in your life. And I'm just honored to share space with you and to be some type of resource in your greatness, because you really are a great individual.
Thank you. And I want to add to that. I really think that Jason and Richard are being just overly gracious and merciful. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I have a bad attitude. Holy moly. There was one time we were having financial literacy night, and I just completely disagreed or whatever it was, right? I had some type of attitude about financial literacy, and I just like shrank back to the furthest corner where I have my computer desk. And then I just have that bad attitude inside, in my thoughts and my feelings, and it's just stewing, right? And I didn't know that it was showing up on my face, right? And I get a chat, direct message from Jason saying,
"It's your face."
It's your face.
No, do you know what he said? No. He said, "You look so unhappy." So if you're listening and watching out there, and you think that you might want to become an associate in the future, this stuff is not easy. We're talking about this now and we're laughing about it. And I know there's still more insight stuff to go through, in the coming weeks.
And Claudine, this will be seen by people that go through Ready for Life in the future.
Okay.
So while you're there, what about the commitment level?
Yeah, the commitment level.
Because you're a director. I mean, you're probably doing 10-hour days before you join the 4-hour evening.
Yeah, and believe me, every single day, like before, like at 5:30, I'm going, oh my God, I got crowd. I have so much work to do. And each time I look for an excuse not to join, right? Because I have so much work to do. So with that being said, one of the things that I've communicated to primarily to you, Jason, is how important this stuff is for me, how much I need it, right? I realize that Crop doesn't need me. I need what Crop has more for me, right? and I can look at that book, with all the contents, all the contents of it, I'll point straight to the things that I need, right? And it's because it's the cracks and crevices, darkness, crap, right? The inside stuff that I've been trying to get rid of, and nothing else has worked, So that's why I'm fully committed. And being fully committed is like, oh my gosh, it's almost like being committed in a marriage. I mean, I haven't been married for 20 years, but I'm assuming that that's what it's going to be like. Like bad days, hard days, sun, rain, shine, whatever, right? You've got to show up, and you got to show up ready to engage and engage fully.
Sure. And I would say if there's any comfort, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Because it's really about community and building that network of support with people who have gone through similar experiences and are standing for each other in what's possible for their future.
Yeah. And you know how, have you guys been to any AA meetings?
Yeah, it's also a place where they have the worst coffee too. A bunch of alcoholics and drug addicts making bad coffee. Yeah, I've been there.
No, I bring that up because you know how they say in AA meetings, if it wasn't for this room, I wouldn't be sober. Let me tell you what, it's not the freaking room that keeps you sober. Exactly. It's the people in the room. All right. So I feel like, we talk a lot about it. Luis brings it up sometimes. Jesse brings it up sometimes about this space. It's this space that really helps us with this healing, right? And getting us to progress, even if it's an inch, but we're progressing. We're not where we were yesterday.
Yes.
Right. So it's all the people in that room, in our virtual room.
Right.
So
Claudine,
it's pretty amazing.
You go ahead, Jay.
Oh, you go ahead.
You've been generous enough to invite us to City Team. You invited Ken. He spoke. He asked me if I'd be willing to go and speak there. And so, we're down to add value to you and to what you're doing any day of the week. I mean, our wheels are spinning when you're on the call thinking of how we could have you with crop in the future and steal you away, but you follow God's lead. And so we got about 5 minutes left here, but I just want to say, for those who need that resource, why don't you speak to how do people get involved and how do people reach out to you or to City Team to get the necessary resources they need out there?
Yeah. So it's pretty easy. So cityteam.org, they can look up economic empowerment, economic vitality. That's how they'll get to me. I don't know if we can send out my email address too, but cityteam.org, there'll be a way for them to send in an email and mention my name and last name.
I'll add a link.
Yeah, and then they'll get directed to me. And here's the thing about crop, right? So I said that I'm doing it so I can climb the mountain first for my people that I serve. Crop is a light, right? You know, Richard, how in a Sermon on the Mount talks about a light, right? You don't put the light underneath the bed. You freaking put that light up on the mountaintop so that the whole area can benefit from it. The whole region, the whole world can benefit from it. I see crop has been such a light in my life. We shouldn't be hiding crop underneath some table or under the bed, right? It needs to be up there, right? And that's why I want you to come and speak that light to the people that I work with and the people that I serve. I keep
telling Jason that, but he keeps telling me to stay humble.
That's important.
It is important. But Jesus said a city set on a hill that cannot be hidden.
Yeah.
And that's really what we want to do in California and nationwide is give people the help that they need and get them into the careers like City Team where they can make livable wages. They can get back to who they could be in this world. Yeah. When they were imagining who they could be before incarceration, getting back to that mindset. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm a crop lifer, right? No pun intended. I'm a crop lifer for life, So I want to do everything that I can to help crop succeed in any way, shape or form, whether it's getting the word out there about you, telling every encounter I have, telling everybody that I know about crop, right? And the people that matter too, people that make decisions. So that's my level of commitment.
I'm gonna hold her to it when I go to her with a job offer.
That's right.
I'll offer that up to prayer.
That's right.
Well, Claudine, it's been a blessing having you here today. I look forward to having some lunch with you in a little while and getting to know you a little bit better. I mean, after 2 months or over 2 months now and 4 hours of Zooms, I mean, I'm only there an hour and a half, 2 hours. Jason's there 4 hours, but isn't it a little bit strange to be on so many virtual calls and then to meet somebody for the
Yeah.
first time.
Oh
Feels
my
like,
God.
it feels like we've known you for forever, though, and you have a special heart, and I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank you. Thank
And,
you.
keep up the good work
Yeah.
with your servant leadership. And what was the guide side? What is it?
Guide on the side.
Guide on the
That is
side.
Guide
great.
on the side.
Guide on the
Yeah.
side. And,
We got to put that on some shirts.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
it's really like that word for counselor or comforter, one who comes alongside.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what a beautiful perspective to have in this world.
Yeah.
Coming alongside
absolutely.
others to help them
Yeah.
get to where we see or they could be.
Yeah.
And so this is Jay, you want to have any final words?
Oh, I just want to thank Claudine. You know, she's such a special person and adds such an amazing value, not only to our program, but
Yeah, definitely.
to the community at large. And
Thank you.
it's really an honor.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I know I told you from the beginning, I will never do a podcast. And here I am.
And what did I tell you? Never is
Never is a long time.
It's a long time.
For the record, I never believed you either. But I'm grateful.
Thank you.
Love y'all. And so if you want to reach out to the Crop Organization to find out about our Ready for Life program, go to croporganization.org on our website. You can also reach out to us, as Claudine shared, our acronym, Creating Restorative Opportunities and Programs, on Facebook, Crop Organization on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, CropOrg1. Follow us. We have a link tree. You follow us and subscribe. Also on YouTube, we have a YouTube channel with some of our videos. Jason's been working on adding some new videos of some of the work we've done. We have a lot of upcoming things that are upcoming that are going to be great. And in the future, there'll be more Ready for Life programs. And if you're someone who's justice involved, who is either in the San Francisco Bay Area or Los Angeles, and you're looking to take part in the future Ready for Life program, reach out to us. And we're the Prison Post. We also have Prison Post on YouTube. Follow us, subscribe, and thank you for joining our show today. Thank you for listening to The Prison Post, a production of the Crop Organization. We'll be sharing more stories from the world of prison reform and restorative justice, so please join us. You can listen to The Prison Post on all major podcasting platforms. Subscribe to our video cast on YouTube and like us on Facebook at The Prison Post and at Creating Restorative Opportunities and Programs.